What are you wearing?
Canadian hockey player.
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
To all you Blues fans, we're bleeding blue with you. Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues!
BlueNote Fan Report. Aloha! How is everybody doing up there today? This is day 2 of me putting a whole bunch of things out there. Oh, it has been a while, Vladimir. Absolutely, it's been a while. Thought you were mad and didn't like me anymore. But hey, that is what it is, and welcome back to the show. We got a lot to talk about today. A couple of big things going on. Lance may join us. Zach is here. Welcome back, Zach. Appreciate it. Lance may join us. Ashley could possibly join us. I don't know. I gotta give me a second. Sorry, I had things pulled up and then my computer kind of went haywire on me, so I got to pull it back up here. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So today, Marilyn's here, Craig is here. Yeah, I'm going to try and do it daily from now until the end of the season. There's going to be a day or two where I don't do it, or, I don't feel up to it, or, maybe I get on and there's nobody there. But for the most part, training camp is 2 weeks. We got hockey in 3 days. That's right. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I'm going to try and see if we can start drumming up some support for the show and other things that are going on around. Couple of news things came out today. One of the biggest ones, and I'm trying to, we'll talk about it, is the Blues are going to participate. And well, now we knew this. This is not news. They are not participating in the Traverse City prospect tournament this year. They opted out of that, and what they opted into is Minnesota and Chicago hold a showcase every year and play one, and they played a game against each other. The prospects played a game against each other. Well, St. Louis has joined that now. So St. Louis, Minnesota, and Chicago are going to play in this prospect tournament. Now, there is something really interesting about this that hasn't been talked about yet. This showcase shifts between St. Louis and Chicago. Not St. Louis, Minnesota and Chicago. So now with St. Louis being in this in 2 more years, this showcase probably will be at Centine. That's huge. I mean, now, the way that Minnesota does it, they offer tickets to all 3 games to their season ticket holders, and then they hold some back. But could you imagine this being in that main rink? I mean, that holds, oh, God, I want to say 10,000 people. Maybe a little less than that. 8,000, something like that. What's that? Does anybody know what that rink, the Lindenwood rink at Centene holds? I mean, they're going to fill that thing up. right? They're going to fill that thing up for all 3 games, right? You got the 2 games. Again, you got the game against Chicago, you got the game against Minnesota, and in the Chicago-Minnesota game, there's enough Blackhawks fans in the area or Blackhawk people that would come down just for that on a weekend. I absolutely believe that, right? Let me see. What do we got here? Let's get into some comments, and we'll talk a little bit more. We got Zach here. I seen you. Give me a minute. That vibrato. No, hey, when my music first came on, did it sound messed up? Because it did in my ears. I don't know, but not all the time. Something that may sound messed up in my ears doesn't sound messed up in yours. Hi, VDA Mar. I've been busy and haven't had much time celebrating birthday today, so I have it off work. Well, happy birthday, my friend. Happy birthday. Jason here. Krug, we will get to that. Will Connor play for Chicago? We'll get to that. Mike Custer says Krug is, well, we will talk about that. Let me welcome in one of my co-hosts, your buddy, your pal, your friend, and mine, the one, the only, the Mr. Lance. I'm giving him his intro. He's waiting backstage. I'm giving his intro, and he disappeared. I disagree with that, Mike. You're jumping ahead. I want to talk about the prospects first, and then we'll talk about Krug. Let me, Lance, come back. Come back, Lance. I seen you, buddy. I was just introducing you. Come back. Come back. Come back. Come back. Babcock. Oh man. Yeah, him and Philly. I mean, Babcock's just a 3-year coach, man. He's just he doesn't get along with anybody, and he destroys teams more than he helps. Well, he will build them up a little bit, and then it's time for him to go before he turns them down. Hopefully Lance will be back. I seen him. He was in. I'm not joking. He was in the backstage area, right? I seen him in there, and I just didn't get a chance to pop him on yet. Maybe he's having issues with his internet. We'll give it a second. So the prospects. Who is St. Louis taking to Minnesota? Now the schedule on Friday. Friday morning or Thursday at 9:15, they're going to practice at Centene, right? And then Friday on the 15th, this Friday, they're going to they're going to practice at Centene at 10 a.m. And then that night at 7 p.m. Friday, they play the Wild. And then on Saturday at 6 p.m., they play the Blackhawks. I will be on for both those games. Now, the games are going to be televised, are going to be shown on the Minnesota Wild YouTube channel. Now, I will probably get a copyright strike, but I don't think my channel will get shut down. So I will probably broadcast that on this channel while we talk about the game. So let's talk about Lance. Where are you? Come back, Lance. Anthony Chumley, thank you. Marin Listener, Jason Nichols, and Craig Moss. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You put some love and hearts in the air. If you are on YouTube, I can't see your names, but please give me some likes and some loves. And on Facebook, I will try and say your name. If you do it, I appreciate you. Thank you for making me happy. Yes, it is. I'm green screen, bud. I am a green screener. I've been doing green screen since I started. I actually learned how to do green screen very early. Right? I mean, it's not a hard thing to do, but a lot of people and a lot of people when they do it, you can tell they're green screen. You'll see around here and that there's like a heavy green tint or parts of their body will move away. But I've actually, done a little bit of work on mine, so see, I got mine set up so it looks like it's not green screened, but that's what it is. Showed you that real quick. Little magic of the TV. Some of the old background. Well, which old background are you talking about? Right? Because some of the background was what had happened is, and I think I know what background he's talking about. And hold on a second. I think he's talking. I think he's talking about this one. I think he's talking about that one. Now, the thing is, they were real pictures that I pieced together. Right? So that's where that is. Yeah, so what that one was, I don't have that blanket anymore. I took it to a hospital and it got taken away on me and I didn't realize it, and I lost it and I can't find it back. I wish I could, man. I would kill for that blanket. Share the show, please, peeps. I want 50 viewers in the room by opening game. I would love that, man. Let's hold on. We'll get to that one. Let's finish where we were going. I don't know what happened to Lance. Hopefully he comes back. Let's see if I got a message from him or something. Give me a second. Sorry, mate. You know, the magic of all of this. Some things work, some things don't. There we go. I sent him a quick message. We'll do. So the prospect tournaments. Let's talk about who's going to be there. First we have Mikhail Amberov, Nikita Alexandrov. I like that he's there. Attilo Biska. He is on a tryout. Samuel Benton, Zachary Bolduc, Alexis Bonfran, Zach Dean, Tanner Dixon, Andre Helm, Mitch Holstner, Matthew Lafreniere, Keen Warshachurka. On defense, Jeremy Blakabutaka, Michael Bushinger, Quentin Burns, Marc-Andre Goulet, Matt Kessel, Leo Roof, Matt Miach, Hunter Skinner, and the goalies, Will Cranley, Colton Ellis, and Vladimir Zerzinko. They will probably all get a game apiece. Now, who's not there? This is more important about there are names that are not there that I said would not be there, that people told me, oh no, they're going to be there, and they're not. So we'll get there. I agree. I like Matt Kessel. I like Matt Kessel a lot. Let's see, where are we at? Zachary, we'll get up with Krug. Russian goalie's going to be there, yes. Mike Koster says, I don't feel like our team had an identity of any kind. Seemed like always searching for something, finding nothing. That's leadership. That's coaching. That's absolute coaching there, Mike. Yeah, I like Zerdinko too. I like him a lot, bud. I mean, that's, but the leadership isn't, you got to be careful when you say lack of leadership, because I think there's leaders in that locker room. I just think that they're being handcuffed. I think they're being heavily handcuffed. Right? Excuse me. I really do. I think that they're being heavily handcuffed. That they're being. Oh, here we go. Should I do the intro again? It's his fault. He missed it. Hey, Lance.
Hey, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can't hear you at all for some stupid reason.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Let me go back in and check it.
Okay. We hear you fine. We hear you good. Right? We hear Lance.
I don't know what's going on.
Okay,
I'll come
do a
back in a
reset.
minute.
Do a reset of yeah, he'll be back, I think. Bennington can be decent, but what if they move him next offseason and had it as Hoffer and Zerzinko next season? I think Zerzinko's 2 years away. I could see that in Bennington's 5th year happening. Yeah, but you have Thomas, you have Kyrou, you have Shen, you have Bushnevich, you have Folk. Those are all leaders in that locker room. And I think Kyrou is becoming one. Right? I disagree. I disagree, Mike. I disagree with you. I think there's more than that. I really do. Right? Saad, you know. I think that there's more leaders in that locker room than there's more leaders in that locker room than you think. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah, when you were in earlier, I did your intro, and just as I was about to pop you in, you popped out.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, no issue, man. Hey, welcome. How are you doing, man?
Doing okay.
So I talked about it a little bit. The prospects tournament's coming up on Friday. It's going to be shown on the Minnesota's YouTube page. I'm going to be live during the games, both Friday and Saturday. We play Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time and Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Time. I think that's 2 and 1 for me. But I'll be on for that, and I don't have 1,000 viewers yet, so I'm not worried about the copyright thing. So I'll probably show it live and talk about it. So we'll probably do that. I'm going to read through the roster. Have you seen it?
No.
I'll read through the roster. I want you to tell me if there's any surprises here, both either on it or not on it. Here we go. The forwards: Mikhail Amberov, Nikita Alexandrov, Attilo Biaska, Sam Bitten, Zachary Bolduc, Alexis Bonfron, Zach Dean, Tanner Dixon, Andre Heim, Mitch Holster, Matthias Lafreniere, Keen Washika. I can't say that name. Here's the other name that's fun to pronounce. Defense. I think with this guy, when he comes up, the announcers are going to protest. Jeremiah Kabutka.
It's Byadka Batuka.
Byadka Batuka. Yeah, he's the announcers are going to protest his name. They're going to tell him change his name. Michael Bushner, Quentin Burns, Marc-Andre Gaudette, Matthew Kessel, Leo Loof, Matt Miach, Hunter Skinner, and the goaltenders are Will Canley, Colton Ellis, and Vladimir Zerzinko. Now, 3 of those guys are 2 of those, Biska and Buffon, are on tryouts, amateur tryouts. So they're trying to make the team through this or get put on the AHL roster, right? And there's a couple of guys that are AHLers, straight AHLers here. Any names on this list surprise you, and any names not on this list surprise you?
Not really.
There's three names that I think a
I
lot
mean,
of people. Go ahead.
we all knew that the Dvorsky wasn't going to be there.
Well, that's one of the three. See, there's a lot of people that thought that those guys, those draft picks, would be there, and
No.
yeah, well, Dvorsky got loaned back to Finland. I said it.
Mhm.
I remember saying this a couple days ago that they're not going to be at the prospect tournament. Everybody's so high on Dvorsky. He's so far away. He doesn't help. That's why. See, this is why I'm not sold on the draft. Right? I think that you can do so much better than the draft. I think you can take draft picks and pluck high-end prospects away from teams. Then, like, let's put it this way. You know, I don't know off the top of my head, but those we could have gotten easily one or two ready to play NHLers, prospects, 19, 20-year-olds, by trading those picks to other teams. And we've done better than waiting 3 to 5 years for these guys to mature and come up. That's why I'm not sold on the draft. I think the draft shouldn't be when they're 17, 18. I think it should be when they're 20. It should be like the NHL, where you have to be 20 to play in the NHL.
Well,
Or in the NFL.
Here's the thing: 90% of the time, if you did that and gave away those picks for guys that are gonna, come into your camp and compete for a position, those teams aren't going to give up those young guys like that. I mean, they're not going to. They're not going to get. If you would have given, let's say, the Blues' last pick in the first round for a guy that supposedly is ready for the NHL, those teams aren't going to give that up for that. They're just not. I think there's bad things about the draft. I think some of the rules they do, it's between the AHL and the juniors, is a little off. I mean, it's been the same similar system for quite a while. They've made a little changes in it, but people got to realize, it's like I said, that the NHL draft isn't like the NFL. The NFL draft, a guy can be in the third round, for even the fourth round, and make an impact that first year.
Yep.
It's there's guys taking,
because they have to play. They have to play 2 years in college before they're eligible. Actually, 3 years.
Yeah.
They have to play 3 years. They have to be a junior or a senior, so they have to play 3 years before they're eligible. Well, why wouldn't the NHL do that? Why wouldn't the NHL change the draft to where, instead of drafting these kids out of high school, draft them out of, make them play a couple of years in juniors. Make them be AHL eligible, 20 years old, prior to the draft. You have to be 20 years old. Give them that 3 years. Get more of them in college. God, would you know what that would do to college hockey? Oh, my goodness. College hockey would explode. College hockey would explode.
The only guys that would really have impacts on college hockey, and they're way past. You get a guy that's 18 years old and gets drafted, and he gets drafted number 10. It doesn't necessarily mean he's not going to make the NHL, maybe, and he may go, but he's going to go back to juniors. In my mind, there's college hockey is better than it used to be.
Yeah.
But there's some really good junior teams that will beat a good team of 21-year-old college players.
Well, first of all, that would absolutely change. You would have more guys going to. First of all, you'd have more college teams.
Well, here's another problem. A lot of these guys are from Canada and from other countries. They're not going to come over here to go to college.
That is not true. That is not true. I see it in every other sport. Every sport except the big ones. Here in Hawaii, they're volleyball. Volleyball in Hawaii is like hockey in Minnesota. Okay, they recruit Europe huge.
not
Huge. They recruit Europe.
it's not going to happen. The colleges don't have the money to do that, and they don't have the scouting staff to go out and scout guys all over the world, and the budget to do it. They only have so many scholarships to give out. I
But
mean,
that's the thing, Lance. What you're missing is that would change.
no,
That would
it's not.
absolutely change. It would
It's
take a
it's
couple of years, but it would
it's not gonna
change.
it's not going to change because the
Yeah.
NCAA doesn't change. Look how long it took them to where they went to a playoff. The NCAA isn't going to
But
change.
Lance, you're missing this. You're looking at this very narrow-minded.
No, I'm
Pardon.
not.
Hold on. You got to listen to me for a second, bud, and spread your thing. First of all, as I'm saying this, you're thinking of what college hockey is right now. Right now.
No, I'm thinking of if I'm an 18-year-old kid
Mm-hmm.
and I'm good enough to and I'm playing junior hockey and I'm good enough to be in the AHL and going to be in the NHL, you're going to have a hell of a time convincing me out of high school to go to college if I'm great, if I'm really good. You're going
Are
to
you
have a
getting
hard
paid
time
in the
convincing
juniors?
me of that.
Are you getting paid in the juniors?
No.
No. So here's a chance to get a college degree, a college education for free, or go play in juniors and live in somebody's house and work.
It's never going to happen.
Well, again, Lance, what you say never, you have to spread your mind a little bit. You have to open up. What I'm trying to get at, what I'm saying is, if the NHL, you got to remember, the biggest if here is if the NHL changed their draft to where you had to be 20 years old to come in the draft. Now, remember, the NBA used to do that. You used to have to play 3 years in college ball or be out of high school 3 years before you could go into the NBA. They had that rule. They've changed it to where now it's 1 year because of too many high school kids were jumping in. But you take this now. First of all, the crapshoot that the draft is now would go away. It would not be as much. It would be a crapshoot, but nowhere near. It would favor teams so much more. And then you're going to have all these kids now that college wasn't even an option. I'm going to get drafted. I'm going to go. Now it becomes an option. It opens that up. Not only does it become an option, it opens up other teams, other colleges having teams. You're going, especially in the North and through the Midwest, you will see so many more colleges getting teams and having teams that you will start selling out arenas. You're going to bring the popularity because these guys that, right now you can only see in juniors are going to be in the U.S. And I disagree with you. If I had my choice, here I'm an 17-year-old kid, and I can either go play for the Edmonton Oil Kings, or I can go to the University of Michigan. Now, I don't have a chance of going to the NHL. I'm not getting drafted yet. I have to work to get drafted. I can either go to the Oil Kings where I'm not getting paid and I'm living in somebody's house, or I can go to college and get paid to get a degree. I think that a lot more kids, and what college hockey would become it would become a real feeder system. Ashley, come back.
I can tell you right now, if I'd have had a choice when I was offered my college scholarship, if I'd have had somebody from the Oil Kings or somebody from the Marlies or whatever coming off, and not the Marlies, but a junior team come and offer me a spot on the roster, I would go to junior. I would not go to college. I wouldn't do it. I just would not do it.
What do you think on this, Wendy? Wendy, you there? Can you hear me, Wendy? Oh, Wendy.
I think we lost
Maybe,
him.
yeah, maybe Ashley was having some issues too because she popped in and then
Yeah.
popped out.
Yeah,
So,
maybe they're having mic issues.
yeah, maybe you have to reset and then come back. Oh, there she is. Maybe. Baby, Ashley.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how you doing today, Ash?
I'm good. I saw you guys were on, so I decided to hop on.
Did you like the conversation we were having?
Yes, I did.
What
I
is your
heard of it.
opinion on this?
I was fighting with my mic for a minute, so I might have missed the last bit.
Basically, I said if the NHL changed their draft to where they had to be 20 years old before they came in, that it would change college hockey. You'd get more teams, you'd get more kids going to college. College hockey would become a feeder system to the NHL, and the draft wouldn't be as much of a crapshoot.
I can see your point.
All right, can you hear us now, Wendy? Wendy, can you hear us? Wendy.
Hey, Wendy.
Yeah.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, did you hear the discussion we were having?
It cut in and out intermittently, so not well.
Okay. So I'm making the argument that if the NHL changed their draft to where you had to be 20 years old to come into the draft, that it would absolutely change college hockey for the better. That you would get more teams, you'd get better players, you get more guys that wanted to play, and it would benefit teams because now the draft wouldn't be so much of a crapshoot. Right? The now you got guys at 20. You know what you got at 20.
No, you don't.
You
No,
know
you
a
don't.
lot better than you do at 17.
Not really.
And you especially know work ethic.
You
Work
don't-
ethic.
no.
You're going to find out work ethic so much more at 20 than you will.
Not really.
Everybody's going on about Connor Bedard. Most people knew what Connor Bedard was at 16, and if they had to wait till 20, they would already know what he was, even if he went to college. I understand where you're going, but like I said, I was 18 and was offered a scholarship to Minnesota Duluth to play goalie. If I would have been offered a spot on a good junior team roster in Canada, I would have taken it in a heartbeat. I wouldn't have went to college. I just wouldn't have. And you know, there may be some kids that would change, guy. You may get some kids, like you said, that would go, well, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to get an education. And I think there's some kids that would go, and I think in some ways it would benefit college, and I think in other ways it wouldn't make a difference. I think it just depends on the individual situation.
Well, let's do something here real quick. Let me pull up the 2020 draft. Those guys would be 20 now, right? The guys drafted in 2020 would be 20 now.
Some of them would be older.
Okay. Hold on a second. Why can't I? Here we go. 2020 draft. So let's look at the 2020 draft. Most of these guys were 18, so they'd be 20, 21 now. Right? So actually maybe look at the 21 draft. Yeah, 21, because you got to be 18. Yeah, well, you can be 17, but for the most part, 18. So look at the 2021 draft. Right? Now, in the first round, how many of those guys in the first round of the 2020 draft have played at least one game in the NHL? Of the 32 guys picked, how many do you think have played at least one game in the NHL? Anybody?
11.
11. Lance?
I'm going to say 9.
9. Wendy? Wendy? I'm looking at the
I'm
page, so I can't
saying
see you guys
7.
right now. 7. It's 13. It's 13. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them have less than 10 games, and 2 of those only have 1 game. Right? These are guys that are 20 now, that you picked when they were 18 years old, and they're still not called up yet. And in fact, I bet you a lot of these guys maybe a couple of them make their debut this year. But of this list, only one guy's played, 2 guys have played more than a full season of hockey. 3 guys. Owen Power for the Sabres has 87 games. Matthew Berniers for Seattle has 90 games. Mason McTavish has 89. Kent Johnson has 88. And the leader is Cole Sillinger with 143. Dallas Stars, Wyatt Johnson has 82. That's less than half. It's less than half of the guys that were. Imagine them getting 3 more years in the NHL. If you had to redraft this draft right now, how many of those guys would get drafted in the first round? I don't think half of them get drafted in the first round. Because there's a guy in the 3rd round that's gotten a couple of games. Second round for the Coyotes, Moser has 125 games. Somebody popped out.
Lance is back.
Oh, okay. There we go. So that's what I'm saying. I think that 4 teams, this would give them 3 more years of scouting before you go into the draft. There are guys that will benefit from the NHL, and especially the guys over in Europe. Because the guys in Europe would get brought in. I guarantee that, because I see it in other college sports. They would get brought in. There'd be a lot more recruiting of those guys. They get brought in. They'd be able to play a lot more and get better exposure.
They're not necessarily going to get to play more because, I mean, a guy could come over after, let's say he's 18 and goes to college and he's from Amsterdam and he's good, but he still isn't getting many minutes. He isn't doing this. He isn't doing that. And I know that happens in juniors too, but it's just not going to happen because there's too much of a cost for a scout for these teams to have 5-6 scouts.
No, there's not.
No, there's
not. I disagree with that. I disagree with that because the majority of colleges and NHL teams use scouting services. They have 1 or 2 scouts, but those scouts don't go hit every country. They use the scouting services, pick the ones they like, and then go. That wouldn't change. And you know what? I know this here. I know the coach for Lindenwood, Zombo. I was with him one day when he was going over a scouting service. We talked. Me and him had a conversation about guys he was looking at bringing in.
From Eastern Europe, from Russia, from Denmark,
Yes, he was looking at a European scouting.
Now, I'm going to tell you right now, yeah, there's scouting services out there, but no team is going to pick a guy and give him a scholarship that some scouting service gives them an opinion on that they have not seen him personally play. They're not going to do it.
They're going to get the times have changed. The times have changed.
Hey,
There's more video and more of that. I know. I see the comment, Ash.
Can we answer that real quick before we continue?
Well, I was waiting to get to the Krug thing, but I guess we're 40. I didn't realize we were that far into the show. Yeah, we can get into Torrey Krug. So today, NHL.com, StLouisBlues.com announced that Torrey Krug, I think I'm saying that right, will be out until at least October 1st, where he will be reevaluated. He injured his foot or his ankle during off-season training. I don't want to read into this, but man, am I reading into this. Right? What do you think, Lance, on this one? Much to do about nothing, or are you reading into it a little bit?
I think it's much to do about nothing. Guys get hurt all the time in training camp and in the off season.
Come on, Ash. What do you think?
I mean, I just think it's convenient.
Yeah, there's the thing is,
Here's the thing. He's only hurting. Okay, if he's doing this because the Blues tried to trade him and he's not happy with what they've done, he's only hurting himself if he does this, because another team would look at this and go, he did that just because they tried to trade him.
I don't think it's that. I think that in my head, maybe they found a partner and they're working through kinks, but they don't want anyone to find out, and Torrey's agreed to it, so they pretend he's injured so he doesn't really get injured.
yeah, I think that's more. I'm with Ashley on that one. I think that there could be. It's either they got fences to mend.
Mhm.
They've got fences to mend, one way or the other, right? Either you count your losses and you get him to accept the trade, or you mend that fence. You fix that fence really quick. You do some apologizations, things like that. He's not going to Toronto. I don't see him going to Toronto. Toronto doesn't have the money. And Toronto's not giving up. Who's Toronto going to give up, $6.5 million to come back our way? You got to look. It's got to be with Toronto. Wendy, you're better with salary cap. Toronto's up against it, right? Wendy. I don't know if Wendy's there.
He might have a leg.
Toronto is up against
stupid.
it. And go ahead.
Go ahead, Wendy. Oh yeah, the Maple Leafs are $13 million over the cap. Now they have money. They have $10 million going to be in LTIR, but they're still $3 million over the cap at that point.
And Doug Armstrong, I know people say that they want Nylander here. Doug Armstrong isn't going to give up a bunch of picks or give up Krug or Parayko, our neighbors and all them rumors out there for a Nylander for 1 year. Because Nylander and his agent have already said they want $11 million a year. Armstrong's not going to even touch that with a 20-foot pole.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think. Yeah, the Nylander trade isn't happening. That was somebody was just trying to stir things up. Nylander trade is not happening in no way, shape, or form. Wendy, you're more in tune to this stuff than I am. Do you agree with me or disagree with me on that?
I don't see Nylander in St. Louis at all, so I can't see that happening just because of what he wants and what St. Louis has history of not giving big contracts like that.
Yeah.
So I can't see St. Louis trying to bring in William Nylander. Sorry, I'm so used to saying Alex Nylander when that guy sucked.
Well, you got to look here. So what they were trading, first of all, St. Louis couldn't take on. What is Nylander's contract now?
6.5 or 7, something like that.
Okay.
Here, I will get it.
Right. Yeah, he wants to go. He wants to double his money. No.
Yeah, and Matt Lowe, Bolduc is not making this team.
Yeah, not this.
He's not enough room for him. He's not ready. He's not ready.
Yeah.
Bolduc needs like 2 years in Europe.
Now Bolduc's going to be on the AHL roster. Bolduc will be on the Thunderbirds.
And Dean's not making the team either.
Yeah. The only one of the prospects that I see making the team is Alexandrov. But he might be a guy that goes up and down. He's waiver eligible, so he's going to go up and down.
So William Nylander is making $6.96 million a year.
Yep.
Yeah, so the money doesn't make right there. The money doesn't make sense. So he's making 7. You're giving up 6.5. There's still $3 million over the cap. So that and then you were what the other piece of that was Neighbors. Neighbors is making 1.2, I think, or at least the bare minimum, the 775. You add that to it, that's dollar for dollar. That Toronto still can't do anything.
Neighbors is making $8.35.
$8.35. So it's dollar for dollar, and Toronto can't do the deal. And then you're giving up a draft pick to go with it? Fuck that. Not for 1 year guy. No.
The teams that I see realistically William Nylander getting traded to, if he does get traded to, is a team like the Blackhawks or the Ducks. Teams that have the salary cap space and they can use Nylander as a piece in their rebuild.
I think the Ducks make more sense. I don't see any one of those guys making the team. Not out of camp.
No, none of them are going to make this. None of them are ready. None of them are ready. This one's
How many
crazy.
here raise your hands if it's possible to take Pat Kane and place him on the blue? No, I don't.
That won't happen.
No.
And
No,
I
nothing.
I can't see Patrick Kane ever going to St. Louis.
Yeah. There's
I
already
will
way
say
too much
this.
animosity there.
I will say this. Out of the teams I see signing Patrick Kane, it's between 3 teams, and 2 of them I have high percent. I put high percent on signing him. It's the Buffalo Sabres, the Detroit Red Wings, and then the Edmonton Oilers.
Here's my point. At this time in his career, he was terrible with the Rangers, and I know he's still hurt, but that injury is still nagging him. He's a shadow of himself. He doesn't put you over the top. He doesn't make any team a Stanley Cup contender. He just doesn't. 3-4 years ago, yeah, you might take a shot at him, but right now, you just look at him and you can just tell he's not what he used to be.
No issues, Ashley. No issues, my friend. Yeah, I'm with that. Where careers go to die. No, I just the Krug thing for me. First of all, Krug is going to. The problem with Krug is he's going to a contender. He's not going to a Philadelphia. He's not going to an Anaheim. He's not going to Chicago. He's not going to.
St. Louis might have to
got
eat
the money. Say again.
If St. Louis does trade Torrey Krug, they may have to eat a percentage of his cap hit.
And that's what's not going to happen.
And
for 1 year, Armstrong will do it. But he has never ate multiple years. Never. And he's not doing it.
For a team that's in a pretty much a retool, they might have to. If they want if they want a better return, they might have to eat about 50% of his cap.
But see, to me, right there, then all the trade was the purpose of the trade was to open up money. But now you're not opening up money. You're only opening up $3 million out of 6 because he's making 6.5. So you open up $3.25 million. What can you do with $3.25 million? That's not a top 6 forward. That's not a top 3 defenseman. That's not. So you're getting rid of a top defenseman and only bringing in either a mid-level defenseman or a mid-level forward. Makes no sense to me. I can't.
I'm looking at it. I'm also seeing the fact that he's 32 years old. He's getting paid 6.5 for 4 years. If I'm a GM, I will be looking at this and saying, you guys have to eat 50% and I can do a better return because of the age and the price.
Who are you talking about, Scary Phantom? The prize the Oilers didn't get him, they offered him $2 million, and he picked the Avs. Who?
He's talking about Tatar.
Tatar?
Tatar,
Oh.
Thomas Tatar.
Tatar signed today?
Yeah, with the Avalanche.
I did not see that. It's
Yeah,
actually a
1.5
smart pickup for the Avalanche. Tatar can be utilized in good spots.
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't see his earlier comment.
1.5 million for 1 year.
Yeah, that's a good signing. I would have been, if the Hawks were smart, I would have been all over and signing Tatar and then flipping him at the trade deadline at that type of cap hit. I'm hoping the Hawks this time Phil Kessel.
Marianne got a pretty special pick at the St. Louis Amateur Hockey Hall of Fame dinner.
Oh, really? What'd you get?
Yeah. Tell us who you got, Marianne. Nate Joyner says if we lose Krug, we're the worst in NHL in the penalty kill or power play. I'm not completely sure about that. But what we don't know, Scary, is what the years were. I'm guessing Edmonton offered more years, and to me, there we go.
Oh, cool, Perry Turnbull.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
If the Oilers offered 2, I wonder how many years it was. And then again,
I think it was for
according
one.
to his agent.
It was for one, from what I understand. But also, let me ask you this: would you rather play in the U.S. for a team that's had been successful and just won a couple of years ago for 1.5, or would you rather go to Edmonton that seems to just not get to that final point and play in Canada? That's basically in my mind.
Yeah, I think him playing with the Avalanche, because the Avalanche still have an open window.
If Tatar went to Edmonton, he would have been playing 4th line minutes. Avalanche, he can play up in any line just because the way that team's structured.
Yeah.
Especially with who's going like Landeskog being out for so long.
Yeah.
You can move your wingers in any spot you want with Landeskog out for a long period of time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I mean, if you're signing a 1-year deal betting on yourself, why go play for a team and make $500,000 more for 1 year if you're going to play 4th line minutes and your following contract could be less than what you just got, or go to a team where you can see 3rd line or even 2nd line minutes and show yourself on a very good team and go from there.
And power play minutes, because I guarantee it, you see Thomas Tatar on the Avalanche power play.
Yeah, I could see that too. Drouin, is Drouin with the Avs, Wendy?
Yeah, Drouin's with the Avalanche.
Okay. And that does, when guys are picking teams, that does play into effect, if they know somebody on the team where they want to go. I mean, it helps. It does help. Right? Ashley had to bounce out. We got Lance from the Drop Podcast and Wendy from Windy City Hockey on YouTube, who's now getting a silver button, right?
No.
Don't you get a silver button for that?
No, that is 99,000 subscribers away. I need 100,000.
I thought for 1,000 you got one of the buttons.
No, it's 100,000, 1 million. 1 million and 1 billion subscribers.
I don't think anybody has 1 billion subscribers.
Yeah, there's like 10 channels that have 1 billion at this point.
Wow. Let's see. The Avs top 9 is crazy. DeWin, McKinnon, Rantanen, Lehkonen. Lehkonen's out though, right?
No, Lekkonen's in.
Okay.
It's Landeskog that's out.
Okay. Ryan Johansson, Valerie Nikuchin, Miles Wood, Ross Colton, and Tatar. I mean, they're going to have a good year. It sucks, but they're going to have a good year, and they're gonna beat us up. That's for sure. Right. Robert says, I think the reason the Blues are what they are is because everywhere you look, fans constantly keep talking about the 19 team, and it's bad juju. You guys got to change the background. Hold on. Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. Let's see, what do I got here?
So who's your guys' early pick to win each division right now?
Go ahead, Lance.
I don't know. I think either Dallas or the Avs are going to win the Central.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think with the Tatar signing that they're right there.
I think Ottawa or Florida is going to win the Atlantic. I think New Jersey is going to win the Metropolitan. I think, I just like the Kings still. I think the Kings are gonna win the Pacific.
I like Edmonton in the Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
In the Central, to me it's a flip flop. Dallas and Avalanche. They're the cream of the crop there. I like the moves the Senators done. I don't know if it's enough to raise them up. Is Toronto in the Atlantic or the Metropolitan?
They're in the Atlantic.
I could see Toronto possibly winning the division. Right? And then in the Metro, I think the Metro is a little more open, but I do like. I'd have to say in the Metro, I do like both the Rangers and the Devils' chances.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The Rangers just on goaltending alone. Right? Their goaltending's going to steal you 5 to 10 games every season.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So think about that. There's 5 to 10 games that you should have lost that you're going to win. That's got to make them. That's got to make them. Yeah, that happened a couple days ago. They announced that on Twitter or X. I mean, that right there just got to make them a contender to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you have you probably have the best goaltending tandem in the league. The only other team that I get the Metro and the Atlantic messed up. The Florida teams are in the Atlantic, right?
Yeah.
I still think that you have to look at Tampa Bay as a leader in that, but they've taken a step back.
Mm-hmm.
They have taken a little bit of a step back. I don't think Price will ever play again, to be honest.
No, he's not
Yeah,
gonna
it
play.
looks like Price is retired.
Right? I think I don't want to get into that. I just think that for me.
Why do you think that the Rangers have the best goaltending tandem?
Who's their second guy? I want to say that it's like he's like right under Shigerskin as far as their talent wise.
No.
No.
He's not any close anymore. He's one of the more, on this point, washed up goalies in the NHL.
Who's their backup?
Jonathan Quick.
Yep.
Oh, Quick. Okay, I thought they had somebody else.
No, they have 3 or 4 other guys, but they're not anything spectacular yet.
Did Quick just sign with them?
Yeah, he signed there as a free agent.
Okay, so he wasn't he on? Didn't he just win a cup with
Vegas? Yeah.
Didn't he back up Hill?
No.
So he wasn't on the roster?
His name's on the cup, but
Yeah.
he's not. He did not play any minutes in the playoffs. He played 5 total games with Vegas. At least I think that's how many he played. It was somewhere around 5 or 8 games in the regular season.
Where did Talbot end up?
Talbot is now in LA.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So I will tell you my picks for division winners right now.
Okay.
Edmonton for Pacific. Even though I do have LA very close with them, those two teams have goalie problems in my opinion.
Yeah.
Dallas is my favorite to win the division for the Central. I think Colorado's close, but not there. I picked the goaltending for Dallas with Ottinger over Georgiev in Colorado.
Yeah.
The Metro.
Georgiev is who I was thinking of.
Oh,
That's why I was thinking. I thought he was still there.
the Metro, my pick is the New Jersey Devils. I like all the moves that they made this offseason and the fact that they were able to remain under the cap with the players they've signed. They've done good moves. They're winning. I feel like they win the division. And if they make a trade for a goalie like Hellebuck at the trade deadline, they're my pick to win the cup. And then the Atlantic, I honestly think Toronto wins the Atlantic, and that division ends up with 5 teams in the playoffs.
I could see that.
I got a
I can see
question
that.
for you guys. I got a question. When is everybody going to realize that Lou Lamoriello is not a great GM anymore?
Who?
I mean, Lou Lamoriello and with the Islanders.
I think everyone has realized it, but the Islanders ownership group.
Yeah, because what is he? When was the last time his team actually won something? A team that he was GM over. It's been years and years and years and years.
The last time they made
When
it,
you think about it, of the 32 GMs, how many have actually won cups? Not that many.
No, I'm not talking about just cups. I'm talking about having good success in the regular season and good success in the playoffs. I'm not talking about getting to the finals and stuff like. I'm talking about getting to the second, third round consistently. Being one of the top 2 teams in your division, competing every night. His teams haven't done that in a long, long time.
I mean, the Islanders made it to the conference final, and
not long
both
ago.
the years Tampa won the cup,
Yeah.
and that was just 3 and 4 years ago. But honestly, he didn't do much with Toronto. The Devils' last cup appearance when he was GM was 2012, and that was just a fluke run. They really have. He has not been a successful GM probably since, I would say, 2006. That was the last time I could think of the Devils actually still up there as a team that was more of a competitive team.
What do we think about this comment about Minnesota being better than the Stars?
I'm not
No
on board
way.
with that.
No
There's
way.
no way in hell.
No way.
Yeah.
No.
Dallas depth, honestly, I could see them going to the cup final this year. The way they built it this year, I like Ottinger as a goalie. He can steal games when needed. He looked bad in the playoffs this last year, yes. But a lot of those Stars players kind of lost their heads during that playoff run. So I feel like Ottinger was not in his right space. So I feel like Dallas is just the favorite in the Central just because of what they were able to acquire, adding Duchesne for cheap. Here's their, if I pull up their roster real quick. They have Rope Hintz, they have Jason Robertson, Mason Marchment. They have Yevgeny Dodonov, Matt Duchesne, Sagan still, and Ben still, but those aren't their main guys. Wyatt Johnston still on his ELC. They have a lot of young players with Miro Heiskanen as well. And they have those veteran players. I really think Dallas could be a team that could win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. I'm on board with that. I really am. And to be honest, you look at Edmonton, and at some point they're either going. Edmonton's either going to blow records out of the water, or they're going to collapse. There's no in between for them. And to me, this is, they've only got 1 or 2 more years before they collapse. And with that being said, at some point, they're going to have to put it all together.
Yeah,
Edmonton has a major problem with having Darnell Nurse making $9.25 million for up until 2030, and that's one of the worst contracts in the NHL.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It definitely is. What I was talking earlier about Toronto. Nobody's brought this up. They keep talking about, well, who does Toronto need to get rid of? Who does Toronto need to move on from?
John Tavares.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was going to say.
I said it last week, I think. I just think.
He's getting older. He's making a ton of money. You get rid of him, get a couple draft picks, start something new. And if you like Nylander, re-sign him, stay fresh and young. Tavares' best days are behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Scary says that Ottinger is definitely getting figured out. His stick side is yikes in the playoffs. I think Ottinger, they don't go as far as they go in the playoffs if it wasn't for him.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. To me, yeah, they do. Where are we at, man? Kind of lost.
Do we see a Canadian team win the cup this year?
Yeah.
There's a possibility.
I have of the 7 teams, there's 4. There's 3 that I could see winning it. Maybe a 4th one on the edge.
What?
Right?
What sort of the teams are you thinking?
Toronto, Edmonton, Ottawa, with right on the cusp, Calgary.
I can't see Calgary. I don't think Ottawa's ready yet to go deep in a playoff run. I can see them make the playoffs this year as a wild card. If a team that wins the cup from Canada, it's going to be Edmonton it's Edmonton out of the teams in the in Canada that I can see winning a cup. I don't trust Toronto in the playoffs.
Well, they got over one hump, and and Shaggy's high. And sometimes getting over that hump, that's all it takes.
Well, they haven't gotten.
Did they really get over that hump? They got destroyed in that second round. That just really killed any of that, getting over that first round woes. They won 4 games and then they got destroyed by the Florida Panthers. I can't see that team. That team is fragile in the playoffs.
Yeah, but Florida destroyed a lot of teams.
Yes, but the Toronto Maple Leafs are a team that is fragile when it comes to playoff hockey. They might have made the right moves this offseason by getting Bertuzzi and Domi, but then they made a stupid decision of signing Ryan Reeves up until he's 40.
Dumb.
Well, here's what I'm basing it on. The Blues went through this where they were one and dones for a good 7, 8, or 5, 6, 7 years, right? And then they finally beat Chicago in the first round, and that was in 2016. And they took that all the way to the Western Conference Finals. The next year, they make the second round and lose a heartbreaking series, even though it was in 6 games, to Nashville. I felt like the NHL was playing on Nashville there. Missed the playoffs and then come back and win the cup. So
Problem is Toronto is full of me first players, and they also haven't addressed their goaltending, and they're not good enough defensively. And until they become good enough defensively and address that goaltending, they might win the first round. They may even win the second round. But you've got to have goaltending, and you've got to have more than 2 or 3 guys that are good to decent defensemen. And they haven't learned yet. They keep signing all these offensive guys to these big numbers, and they keep letting their backing. And well, we can have one good line, a second line that's okay, and a third line that's average at best, and we'll win. Now, you're not going to do that in the playoffs. You just can't.
Here's an interesting question.
Who has the best chance of winning the cup? Canadiens, Blues, Ducks,
Blackhawks,
or Hawks? Well, out of right now today,
yeah,
it would be St. Louis.
Ooh, that's even tough for me. I mean, I see where you're going with that. I really do. Of those 4 teams, who do I think is? Because that's what the question is.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the best of these 4 teams? That's what the real question is, right? And it's disguised as something else. I would, at this moment right now, I'd have to agree.
St. Louis is the better of the 4 teams on that list. And this is coming from a Blackhawk fan who hates St. Louis.
Right? Did you see Bob Morton's comment?
No.
He won't even admit it.
I basically said it before he commented saying that. I said, this is coming from a Blackhawk fan who's being realistic, but out of those 4 teams, St. Louis is the better of the 4 teams right now on paper.
I'd agree with that. I'd really agree with that. Well, guys, we're at an hour and 15 minutes, and, as we get into the season, the show will probably pick up to an hour and a half to 2 hours when there's a lot more to talk about on a daily basis. But as we're moving up to it, change in my schedule. Friday, I will be on for the Blues and Minnesota and the prospect showcase. And then Saturday, are you going to join me, Wendy?
What time is the game?
6 o'clock.
It depends on if they're broadcasting it anywhere. I think the Hawks usually broadcast it there.
No, it is on Minnesota's YouTube channel.
Okay, it's not on the Hawks YouTube channel either?
As far as I know, the only place that it's being shown is the only place that I know it being shown of right now is the Hawks or the Minnesota's YouTube channel. Now, I got a question for you on
What's
this.
up?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, and then I'll ask my
No,
question.
go ahead.
with this showcase, did this showcase bounce back between Chicago and Minnesota?
Yep.
So would it make sense that, say, next season it's in Chicago and the season after that it's in St. Louis?
It might be. It might be the way it ends up going, but who knows yet? Because St. Louis entered the Tom Curvers one when? A few months ago?
No, at the end of last year after the Traverse City, they came out and announced that somewhere in the middle of the season that they were going to join with Chicago and Minnesota in that one.
Yeah, I know. For instance, they've had this them planned out the last. They planned out the last couple of years. For the last few years, they planned them out in increments of every other year. You get one, the other team gets one. So Minnesota hosted the first one. The Hawks hosted it last year. Minnesota's hosting it again this year.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it will go back to 5th, 3rd next year in Chicago.
Yeah, and I think then now is that the one that's at Rosemont?
No, that's down the street from the United Center.
Okay.
That's the new Blackhawks practice facility.
Okay. And then I could see in 2 years it being at Centene.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That the Lindenwood rink at Centene, the USA rink. I think that holds about 8,000, doesn't it, Lance?
I don't know if it's that much, but it's a decent amount.
I don't think they will play them on the bigger rinks because both the Minnesota and the Chicago one, the first one from Minnesota was on a practice rink that didn't have a lot of seats in it. Last year in the 5th, 3rd games, they were basically in the normal Hawks practice rink. The Hawks don't have a lower bowl section. They are going to be getting that in a few years when the 5th, 3rd arena gets expansion. They built the thing 5 years ago, and now they're going to have 5 rinks on that facility.
See, so that's why I think putting it. That's why I think that if for St. Louis, it would have to be at the Centene at the USA Arena, and not only that, because you're going to pack that, right? You know that. Now you're normally you're right. It's played in college or smaller arenas with not a lot of seating, but playing it on a Friday, Saturday, you will pack that thing. I absolutely, you will pack the Centene, and that's free money for the teams. For those 3 teams, that's free money because you'll pack at Centene. You'll pack all 3 games. Centene, you will sell out all 3 games.
They won't sell the tickets. They will make them free admission.
They're selling them in Minnesota.
They aren't. They are doing free admission. They're free admission tickets. Last year, all the tickets for free admission. I tried to go to each of the games between the Hawks and Wild prospects, and they were free admission, but they go immediately.
Yeah, well, they offered them to the season ticket. Minnesota had a thing. I read it. It sounded like you had to buy the ones that are available. The limited ones that were available were for sale.
They might have done it where if they are selling them, it's a $5 ticket going to charity. That's usually how that goes.
I'd have to go look at Minnesota's thing later.
Centene only holds 4,000 people. I just looked it up.
4,000 for that rink?
Yep.
Oh, you would pack that thing. I guarantee you would pack that thing. You'd have SRO. You'd have SRO in there. Because you can have standing room only up in the top, that top level. You would absolutely have SRO there. I'm absolutely certain of it.
Now, why did St. Louis leave the Traverse City one?
Say again?
Why did St. Louis leave Traverse City?
I honestly don't know. I think that playing Minnesota and the Traverse City one, you were playing Detroit and Toronto.
you were also used to playing the Hawks and Wild.
I think playing the Hawks and Wild makes more sense.
I wish you guys didn't join the Hawks Wild one just because it was how they laid it out was so nice just because of normally you see injuries in this tournament between the Hawks and Wild. I would say that. The Wild have injured multiple prospects in the last 3 years. This is
Bedard going as a prospect?
I don't know if Bedard's playing.
Well, St. Louis and Minnesota have released their rosters. Has Chicago released their roster?
They have not.
I
It's
wouldn't
got to
play
get
him.
released soon. I mean, if it's on Friday.
I would not
mean,
play him.
If I'm the Hawks, I don't play Connor Bedard.
Mm-mm.
I expect Kevin Korchinski to be there. I expect Nolan Allen to be there. I expect Frank Nazar to be there, even though he's still a college athlete, but he can still play on it. If the Hawks get the rights to invite him to the tournament, he can play.
Well, none of the Blues first-round picks, none of the Blues picks this year are playing.
Okay. I don't know if honestly, I don't think we'll see Connor Bedard in that tournament. If he is, it's him wanting to be there, and the Hawks are letting it happen. If he's not, it's the Hawks saying, we know you're a prospect, but we are not sending you because we'll like you to stay here in training camp.
I can see that too. Training camp starts on Monday, if I remember right.
Training camp starts for the Hawks actually, I think tomorrow.
Weigh-ins?
I believe so.
I think. Well, the Blues are bringing in the prospects for practice on Thursday and Friday, and then I'm guessing that right behind that's going to be the weigh-ins for the team itself and the invitees. Right?
So what day is your guys' first game of the regular season? By the way,
12th or the 15th.
Okay. I just know the Hawks are playing the first night, so on the 10th.
Yeah. We play on the 12th. We play in Dallas on the 12th.
Oh. Yeah, the Hawks play on the
Seattle.
10th.
We play Seattle and St. Louis on the 15th, if I remember right. Or 14th.
So you guys are 30 days from regular season. The Hawks are 27 officially tomorrow.
Right. Well, guys, great show tonight. Had a lot of fun. The shows have been good. That they've been getting better. Keep joining us. Keep watching. Keep listening. 8:00 tomorrow night. I'll be here. If you guys are available, you're more than welcome to join me. We'll continue talking tomorrow. I think we'll probably get more into the. Let's break down the Atlantic Division tomorrow. We'll break down the Atlantic Division tomorrow. I'll kind of do some looking up on that. We'll break down the Atlantic Division. Thursday, we'll break down the Metropolitan. And then Friday, we'll be on for hockey. Woohoo! And Saturday. And then Monday, we'll break down the Pacific. And then Tuesday, we'll do a more in-depth breakdown on the Central. That sounds like a plan to me. What do you guys say?
Yep.
Right?
All right.
Well, guys, have a great night. All you people out there that are still watching, thank you for joining us. Have a great night. And let me say a big thank you to E. Guido, John Hefner, Zachary Goody, AJ Brennan, Erickson Krieger, Ashley Jones, Anthony Tony Chumley, Marilyn Listener, Craig Moss, Jason Nichols. You gave me some love in the air. I appreciate it. We had like 15 last night. Didn't get as many viewers tonight. I'll send out the invites later tonight for tomorrow's show, and we'll go from there. So, guys, have a great one. This is Guy, the Why Blues fan, saying aloha mahalo. And, boys, you got to know, what am I doing? I am!
To all you Blues fans, we're bleeding blue with you. Let's